Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, mutual trust could be at risk, China has warned, if Britain doesn't go ahead with the Hinkley Point nuclear reactor. Beijing is expected to put up around a third of the £18 billion needed to fund the project, with the rest coming from the French company EDF. They've given it the go-ahead, but the British government now wants to wait until autumn to carefully consider the scheme. But what if the government's reticence is nothing to do with Chinese involvement at all, but the reactor itself? Our science editor, Tom Clark, has more.
Are UK-China relations about to be buried in a muddy field on the Somerset coast? This is the site of the controversial Hinkley Point C nuclear reactor complex. A fortnight ago, VIPs from project leader EDF in France and China's state nuclear group, who were to pay for a third of the project, were to gather here to sign the deal to build it. Yet hours before, Theresa May pulled the plug, saying her new government needed more time to consider the deal. It's been widely suggested Mrs May is concerned the deal would put the Chinese state far too close to our critical infrastructure.
It's really promising to see the fact that this is being reconsidered, because I think a lot of us were quite concerned to see this going full steam ahead.
Chinese investment has poured into the UK, from fashion and luxury flats to football clubs, but nuclear reactors are different.
I think an investment in a football stadium, absolutely. There's no sort of national security concern with that. But when you're in such a sensitive sector, you need to remember that just because we have a good relationship with the Chinese now, it doesn't mean that we will in the future, and plants will be in operation for a very long time.
Hinkley was always a political hot potato, but has the government's move turned it thermonuclear? In his letter to the Financial Times, Ambassador Liu Xiaoming wrote how the deal was a test of mutual trust between our two countries and how the move puts relations at a crucial historical juncture. Last October's state visit by President Xi was supposed to usher in a golden era of relations between the UK and China. As well as the Hinkley deal, there was the offer to build 2 new Chinese nuclear reactors at sites in Essex and Suffolk. One former intelligence officer thinks the risks to critical infrastructure are known and could therefore be managed.
We are going to have to get to grips with the reality of a China that is more prominent in our economic life and which seeks to exercise greater political leverage than we've been accustomed to. That is simply a reality, and we can't make that go away by just building a higher wall or seeking to exclude China. That is not a realistic option.
In its letter today, the Chinese embassy has made it clear how it feels the new government's handling of the Hinkley deal threatens to sour UK-China relations. And from a UK perspective, the timing does look bad, coming immediately post-Brexit, when we should be forging new ties with trading partners outside of the EU. But what if the UK government's heebie-jeebies about Hinkley have less to do with the Chinese and more to do with the reactor project itself? This programme understands the government also has growing reservations about the current state of the EPR reactor destined for Hinkley. This is the same model EDF are building in Flamanville in France, the largest and most complex reactor ever designed. Yet this plant, nor any other EPR reactor under construction, is yet operational. All have suffered delays and cost overruns. EDF says all of these issues will be sorted out long before Hinkley is finished. But there are already concerns about the costs Hinkley Point C will add to the average electricity bill in the UK. And with continued questions about the technical feasibility of the reactor itself, the new government has more than enough reason to want to look again at the deal.
Tom Clark there.
I've been getting away with it all.